Hey guys, do you like breakdowns of your favorite shows? Check out our new show, Watch Club, where we break down shows like Westworld and some of your other favorites. Enjoy!
Hello everybody, welcome to MojoTalks, and this is Watch Club, the show where we break down the biggest shows on television. I'm your host, Matt. This is Phoebe. She's back this week, thank heavens, and we are here to talk about Westworld as per usual. This week we're talking about Season 2, Episode 8, which was titled Kiksuya, written by Carly Rae and Dan Dietz, and directed by Uta Brusewitz. I hope I pronounced that correctly. It's German. My German's not very good. So, Uta, if I said that incorrectly, I'm sorry. So let's talk about our favorite moments. For me personally, there's been at least 3 great episodes this season, but this one might be my personal favorite.
Yeah, it's my favorite,
It was
for sure.
beautifully shot. Shout outs to Darren Tiernan, the director of photography for this one, because you talked about it backstage. You're like, I'm over the sweeping shots of all the nature, but I thought it was done really well. It was beautiful.
Definitely was like a beautiful episode.
Yeah.
It totally took me by surprise. I didn't expect that we would get this character arc. Like, honestly, I found that this was like the best episode of this season for sure. It was very like viscerally emotional, which we don't typically get from Westworld.
Not at all.
And like I was crying. Like it was very emotional, and I felt like there was so much symbolism and allegory in this episode.
Yes.
It was like very powerful.
And just parallel to, you know, like history that's already happened, you know? I think that's why I got so emotional watching it too. I will admit, I maybe shed a tear or two. But there were moments when I was just like, man, this is how natives were treated back, you know, back in the day.
I think that there was a huge parallel between, you know, Dolores' character and Aki.
Yeah.
Essentially, she believes that she is the most important OG host at the park, but in reality, we see that this person has been coming to consciousness, you know, for perhaps longer than she had. He just sort of flew under the radar.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's a parallel to real life that, you know, white people have colonized and taken credit for things that are obviously due to someone else. So it was a really interesting and important episode.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's funny because all of my favorite episodes, all of my favorite moments are the ones that brought a tear to the eye. So my first favorite one was when Akichita realizes, he's like, oh, I've searched for Koana everywhere except for the other side of death. So he goes down into the lab, and then he wakes up, goes through the whole that was one thing. I was like, huh, how did he go through the whole Delos lab without getting caught? But I mean, that's not the point.
Yeah.
He goes down and he finds Koana in cold storage, and then he just starts bawling because he realizes she's a robot amongst all these other ones down there, and that was absolutely heartbreaking for me. And then he just goes back into his bed or whatever, the seat, and then a single tear just goes down his cheek. I thought, oh, I was broken. I was dying.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool, the scene where they originally like take him in for like maintenance, and they realized that his character hadn't died for 9 years.
Yes.
That was so crazy. Like, he's such a strong and like silent sort of person, and he seemed to like just survive for so long looking for his love, which was so powerful. And then the only reason that he did die was because he decided to, because he knew that was the only way that he could see her again. So it's just like a testament to how like incredible this character is.
Totally.
It's not pairing. What build is he?
Alpha 2.
Alpha. You're telling me that this host hasn't been updated in almost a decade?
We only update them when they die.
And it also makes sense that he's gone this long. It's like 9 years there without being updated, just seeing like how terrible this kind of world is, while also realizing that it might not be the true world, I should say. So that was pretty good. Also, Lee made a little appearance in this one. And when he was bedside with Maeve, that was one of my favorite moments too.
It was really different from what we usually see from him. We were talking about this backstage with our producer, Justin. Like, he's usually a comic relief character, but in this episode, we saw like a different side to him. And I think that like Maeve is definitely my favorite character. I was really sad to see her in that state. And we could tell that Lee had, you know, strong love for her because, you know, she's very reasonable, and she's an amazing character.
Yeah, and I felt betrayed by Lee when he used the walkie to call for help. But you know what? If we're humans, if we're in a situation like that, you know, I don't know how I would react, but it totally makes sense that he would want just to get out of there and find help immediately. But he redeemed himself with that scene, I feel, because he does truly care about her.
Yeah,
I mean,
you can definitely tell that he does.
Yeah.
Another part of this episode that I really liked was the death bringer that kept coming up. And obviously it's Dolores is the death bringer.
Yep.
And this connection between Aki and Maeve, like they're sort of on the same wavelength. They have very much the same disposition, and you know, they have their goals. He wanted to be reunited with his love, and he wants to be free of this world. And it's the same with Maeve. She wants to be reunited with her daughter and be free of this world. And they're sort of like rallying together at this point against Dolores, who, you know, originally we sort of rooted for her character, but it's become very clear that she's the villain in this whole situation. She is like unhinged.
Yeah,
completely
we're like
unhinged.
99% sure at this point. Yeah, there might be, it's Westworld, so there could be little final twists that prove that, oh, she's not, maybe not the Deathbringer, or maybe not this evil person. But yeah,
hard to see that
pretty
happening
clear.
at this point.
Yeah.
So I found something really interesting when I was doing research for this segment here. In the first episode of the first season of Westworld, there's this iconic shot of the man in black removing the scalp of a character named Kissy. And when he removes the scalp, you see for the first time the map to the Valley Beyond. And so anyway, this was a really interesting character, and according to the creators of the show, this character actually had a very interesting arc planned out for him. But unfortunately, the actor, Eddie Rouse, passed away shortly after they shot the pilot.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they didn't recast him because out of respect for him, they wanted to sort of leave that storyline behind. But it's really interesting to see this new character, Aki, you know, living out this really interesting storyline. And I sort of wonder if maybe there were parallels between the storylines, if they decided to take on this storyline. Yeah. But that's just like a little interesting tidbit.
Oh, yeah, that's a good question to ask. I would assume that they've used maybe some parts of it, because as the plot develops, some things don't necessarily make sense to go back to or to introduce. But yeah, that's an interesting little factoid.
Yeah.
There was a scene when Akichita is walking through like there's like been a slaughter, right?
Yeah.
And there's a scene when not Bernard, but real Bernard shoots himself. Arnold shoots himself, and Dolores is like dead on the ground too, and he's walking through the whole carnage, and he walks into the house, and he sees the little maze there. So he picks it up, and it happens really fast, so the audience might have missed it, but there's a fly on his hand at that point, and as soon as it lands, it just walks for a few steps and flies away, or goes off screen anyways. And then I thought right away, I was like, oh, that's exactly the same kind of scenario in season 1 when Dolores is seen with a fly on her face, and there's just a fly scrolling or walking across her face. At first, she doesn't do anything, and it's just like, oh, it makes sense. She's a robot. She doesn't necessarily have these motor functions to kind of react to it. But then later on in the episode, she actually has a fly on her, and then she swats it and kills it. So it's interesting that this fly kind of symbolizes, I should say, kind of like, what's the word I'm looking for? Consciousness. So it just shows that Aki kind of knew from the start as well as Dolores. So.
Yeah, I think that also points to the fact that they have very different sensibilities. You know, Dolores swats the fly. She's a very violent person, and then Aki sort of just lets it fly away.
Oh,
so
that's very interesting.
You missed. Yeah, I also have one that I don't know if anybody else noticed. I'm sure they did. The second time that Aki goes and visits the church, there's a small graveyard, and on one of the crosses, Dolores' name is inscribed. I think that's really interesting. According to Reddit, we've seen this in past episodes. I'm not sure exactly which episode. However, I think that there's definite symbolism there. Obviously, that's from when the original massacre happened. Why is it still there? We don't know.
Yes.
I think that it symbolizes that Dolores is gone, and Wyatt has sort of completely taken over this personality.
That's interesting.
In the past few episodes, we've seen that Dolores has been cutting ties from her past life. She changed Teddy to be more suitable to what she thinks he should be. And in this episode, what seems like she lost her father. And that seemed like, we see her with her father. She's her old self. She's crying. She's emotional. She has a heart. And then she sort of just switches. And now that he's gone, there's nothing to bring her back to that state of an emotional being. So I think that maybe that's what that symbolizes.
That's interesting, because as woke and as conscious as she is, it seems like she's losing all her humanity. And it seems like her end goal definitely makes sense, but yeah, I mean, it's making a lot of sense.
Definitely. This episode didn't give us much in terms of things that we can predict happening for future episodes. I think it was more serving to sort of tie up loose ends, give us a few, shocking revelations.
Yeah.
I think, however, Maeve and Aki is a really, really interesting pairing, and I don't think that Maeve should die. So
no, of course not.
HBO, if you're watching, don't kill her.
Don't, please.
She's my favorite. She's the best.
Yeah.
Them together would be an incredible force, and he sort of invites her through her daughter. You should come and find me, so that they can, be together as friends and protect each other and help each other. So I think that would be a really cool pairing, because we were craving, Dolores and Maeve, and then we finally get that sort of moment in the last episode where they see each other, and obviously Dolores is like a total ass to her. She's not very nice or friendly.
Nope.
So maybe this is the connection that we're craving.
Yeah, I mean, the whole scene, that was one of my favorite scenes as well, was at the end when Maeve is using her mesh network to connect with Aki, and through joining through the mesh network, she kind of like understands his story and everything he's been through. And that's why she uses the line that Aki has used with Koana, right?
Yeah.
What was it? It was, take my heart, and then she would
God.
finish it. Oh, so adorable, so cute,
so
but so
sad.
heartbreaking. Yeah. One of the cliffhangers of last week's episode was the man in black was left for dead.
Yeah.
We weren't quite sure what was happening with him. Is he gonna bleed out? Is he gonna die? Is he gonna survive? Anyways, it ends up Aki finds him and brings him to his tribe, but then later on, his daughter shows up and rescues him. But Aki was like, oh no, we have bad things planned for him. He's a bad guy, he needs to suffer. And then she's like, no, I'm taking him because what I have planned is much worse. So I don't necessarily have predictions for this. I'm kind of left wondering like, oh, what is so bad? The first thing that comes to mind is her just straight up taking him out of Westworld to not allow him to finish this whole huge mission that he's been wanting to do.
Yeah.
Which would be pretty devastating for him. And I guess as us as an audience, because I think it's a little anticlimactic if that's how his story were to end. But I mean, it's a possibility, right?
I think that would be like the ultimate punishment. Like, it would definitely be anticlimactic, and it probably won't happen, but he's built his entire life and identity around being a part of this park.
Yeah.
And, he has a tragic backstory. His wife committed suicide. His son allegedly died from a drug overdose. This episode sort of maybe hinted that that's not what really went down, but that's for another time. If he was taken out of Westworld, he has nothing. His daughter hates him. He has no family. That would be pretty devastating for him. That could probably be worse than, being kept alive and being in physical pain. He would have the emotional pain to deal with.
Very true. I was on Reddit last night as well, just looking through some of the fan theories. There was one going around where some Redditors were thinking, wait a minute, that whole end scene, is Maeve actually Koana? And I was just like, no, I mean, it'd be pretty cool, and I can see like why people would think that way, just because of the line said at the end, the cute couple line said at the end. But even like timeline things aside, it doesn't really make sense. And the whole previous episodes, Maeve has been using her mesh network to control other hosts, so it just makes sense that she would have the ability to tap into what's his name, Aki.
Yeah.
Keep blanking on his name sometimes. It's difficult to pronounce, so it throws me off. But I mean, it just kind of shows that she was using that mesh network kind of mind control thing, not to control him, but just to communicate with him to ensure that her daughter would be okay. So
yeah,
I personally debunked that theory, but
I think she said that out of respect and, to sort of show him that she has good intentions, and I don't think that that was sort of my first instinct, that she could be that character reincarnate. I don't think it would really make sense.
Yeah.
But it was a very nice moment between two characters.
Yeah, exactly.
That's definitely what it was.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. So that basically wraps up the show for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. And if you love Westworld, we do this show every Monday, so check it out. And we also do it for Legion. check that out. And Phoebe and I are also on a little show called The Cinephiles Extended Cut, which airs every Friday. So for myself and Phoebe, guys, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.
So that's our breakdown. What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments below. Check out our other episodes here and some of your other favorite shows right here.